Hello and welcome to Metal Vice, a podcast where we talk about all things music.
Well, the things we care about.
That's right, which is mainly metal music and live music. I'm your host, Brian, joining with the other host,
Karen.
And today we are going to be talking about our Whitechapel show we just saw not too long ago.
Yes. It's all ours.
Yes, all of ours. This was Friday, March 28th at the House of Blues here in Chicago. Ticket prices real quick for this were $27.50.
So good price.
$11 in fees and 11 cents in tax.
Not so good fee rate.
I'm trying to figure out why this was so cheap. I don't
That's just what the
have
tickets were,
anything
though.
listed. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, they weren't like on sale or anything. It was just what the prices were.
That's so fucking weird. I can't remember. Maybe this was part of the BOGO deal they did for Valentine's Day, but I don't think so. I think this was just the ticket price.
Was it a BOGO deal?
I don't know. I can't remember. This just seems
Maybe.
super fucking cheap for this show. So
Yeah.
it must have been the BOGO deal or something.
Maybe. So they were like $50 and we did the buy one, get one.
Maybe. I'd have to go back and look at the receipt.
Which we're not going to do for this recording.
We are not. We can throw it up. If you're watching this on YouTube, maybe we'll throw a little thing up. Maybe not. I don't know. But my guess is it was a BOGO deal on the Valentine's Day and whatnot.
The one below it says BOGO for
Meshuggah, we did that for
Meshuggah.
Meshuggah. Yeah.
I don't remember House of Blues doing BOGO, though.
I mean, it's LiveNation.
This is LiveNation, yeah.
So both of them are, and I remember there were a subset of shows, and I remember buying Meshuggah for that BOGO deal. And maybe this was listed as well. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. And I forgot to make the note of this in our spreadsheet. But
Yeah, maybe.
Whatever. In any case, $27.50 is crazy cheap for the show we got, which had 4 bands total. As we said, Whitechapel, Brand of Sacrifice, 200,000 Stab Wounds.
Just 200.
You always get this name wrong.
I say 2,000, 200,000.
But it's 200 Stab Wounds. And then Alluvial. I think that's the name
That's
of it.
how I say it is Alluvial, but I think they were like calling it what were they saying for the night? Alluvial?
Alluvial?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. I think
kind of like Louisville.
Maybe. I've just been saying it Alluvial forever.
That's how it looks to me when I read it. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And this was part of the Hymns of Dissonance tour.
Which is Whitechapel's new album.
Their newest album,
yeah,
right,
So they're
yes.
touring on their new album, so.
Which I know you're a super big fan of Whitechapel. You're a super big fan of Brand of Sacrifice. 200 Stab Wounds you saw in Ireland last year.
I did.
When you were there
in
for
March
work.
last year, yeah.
And you really, really liked them.
I did, yeah. I just like their sound, and I wish you were with me because it has kind of like more of a death metal sound, and I was like, oh, Brian would really like this, so.
And then Alluvial, were you aware of them at all before this?
I've listened to them, yeah. I mean, we haven't seen them, but I've listened to them.
And honestly, leading up to the show, this was a show I completely forgot about. Like,
Really?
Not forgot
It's
about,
just not
but
something you
just
thought
like,
about?
yeah. And I forgot there were 4 bands. I forgot who was with them always. It was just sort of like, we're going to see Whitechapel. There's a bunch of openers. I couldn't remember if it was 3 or 4 and all that.
I'm doing really bad this year with that as well, where I'm like, I know we're seeing Whitechapel, but I kept being like, are we seeing Whitechapel with Signs of the Sworn? Like, who are we seeing them with? Like, how's the lineup go? But it's definitely not a show that I forgot about in any means. I was kind of looking forward to it. So.
Yeah. And to be fair, this is the end of March, so we haven't seen a whole lot of shows.
We haven't, no. This year's been slow.
Like our 14th show or something.
Yeah.
Which I think is still better, like not better, but it's at rate or a little more than we saw last year at this time as well.
Yeah. It's actually like our 13th show because one night we had two shows in one night.
Oh, that's right. We did. I forgot about that.
Yeah. But anyways, it doesn't really matter.
No.
But yeah, it's been a slow start to the year, but
It has been. And maybe that's the part of it is just sort of like forgetting what's coming up and whatnot and just going a couple of weeks without seeing something. Typically it's, one show a week that we
at least,
get to.
Yeah.
In any case, this was House of Blues. I know when this was announced, this was something you were sort of hesitant to buy tickets for because you hate the House of Blues.
I hate House of Blues, but I was like, but it's Whitechapel, so we're going. I hate House of Blues, but we're going.
And honestly, leading up to the show, a show would get announced and it's like the House of Blues, and you're like, fuck no, we're not doing that show. I'm not going to that show. And whenever it's sort of like a hard stop for you. Like if it's House of Blues, I'm not going. I don't want to go to this. And it's been kind of very frustrating for me because there's a show. I was like, but it's fine. We can go to. It will be fine. Let's go check it out. It'll be fine. But it seems like it's a very hard no for you a lot of times. At least that's how it comes off when we're talking about it. So, yeah, like
I guess to me it's more like House of Blues. Like, why are bands booking House of Blues? It sucks. Which is so funny because if you would talk to me 6 years ago, I would have been like, oh my God, House of Blues is so amazing. It's such an amazing venue. But going to other venues, it sucks.
And the thing we don't like about the House of Blues is just the setup of the stage and the floor itself. Because when you go up the stairs after getting in and going to that main floor area, there's a step down or a couple steps down, either on stage right or stage left, where you're on the floor. It's a really ornate building, really cool to see. I used to love the way it looked. But then once you're on that main floor, to your left and to your right, and even to the back of you, there's sort of like seats that people, like the VIP seats. And whatnot.
Like along a bar area.
Yep. And then a bar on either side behind that as well. And then straight back from the stage is a rised up seating platform area with a bar as well, where a lot of people go. And I think that is also VIP seating.
Yeah, it's reserved. Yeah. One time we sat in those seats and nobody said anything, but they're reserved seating.
Yeah. So. And there's a balcony upstairs. We've only been there a couple times to the second floor. I have never been to the third floor balcony.
And they did sell the third floor for this because there's pictures of Whitechapel and you can see the third floor has people. So.
And I think that one might be more of like the stadium style seating, but the second middle floor, there's just a bar and a platform up there with, again, boxes and railing seats for a premium price, basically.
Yeah.
And maybe one day we'll buy one of those seats and just
do it once.
check it out.
I don't want
just for a different experience.
Yeah. I feel like we were at a show. I can't remember who it was. If it was like the...
Oh, it was not Spirit World. I'm
thinking
Spite.
Yeah, Spite and...
The Common Enemies tour. We found it. Body Snatcher, Spite had co-headlining tour with Moth for War, Mouth for War, Throne, and then there was another band that wasn't there for our show.
Yeah. I don't know what we were saying. Oh, we stood up.
That was the first time we stayed at that bar, and we talked about that. We did a podcast on this, I think.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah. It was an interesting thing. You can't see much of this floor, but since you're raised up a little bit, you can see the stage really well.
Yes, you can.
So, yeah. If you're on the railing of that upper tier thing.
But there were people buying seats for that, I think is what you were going to.
That's what we were going to. And I feel like I remember them saying it was like $150. Now, I don't know if that's for like 2 people to upgrade or if that was for 1 upgrade or for a special upgrade. We didn't ask the question because we weren't going to buy them. I wanted to, but I didn't ask. Yeah,
she was walking around with the like little iPad thing saying VIP upgrades available. And they had them here for this show as well.
Yeah.
But there's like, I kind of heard the spiel she was going through, the normal sort of sales pitch, while she was talking to this couple, and they ended up buying one, I think. But there's those railing seats you can get. There's those box seats you can get on, the stage right, stage left, as well as for this particular show, there was something else that got you not backstage, but into this sort of little
like a lounge
area with a free drink of champagne or something.
Yeah. So I actually saw on House of Blues they posted something about like that VIP lounge area. It looks kind of cool. It's like a private bar and like with tables and stuff and like in that old ornate like look and everything. And I was like, that'd be kind of interesting. But then my mind went directly to, I wonder how much those tickets are.
Right.
So obviously I don't want to spend, depending on who it is. Like if it's somebody that like I want to do a VIP access type thing for, maybe if it's like a special show. But I can't think of a band that I would spend that much money on at House of Blues for that.
I don't know. So maybe coming up, we'll check that out just for a different experience. Because, I mean, we've seen a lot of shows at House of Blues. We talked about that a lot on this podcast. We really don't like House of Blues because of the setup. And there's so many other venues here in Chicago now that we've discovered that the setup of the stage and the floor is just so much better.
I think that's the whole thing is, and because also, like, we've seen a couple shows where it's just been so packed, like in 2022. And we ended up being back by like the bar railing, kind of like the main bar and in the back. And the sound was just so dampened and it just didn't sound the best.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like if it gets oversold or it sells out, if you are not there early or before it fills up, you could have a really, really bad spot.
It's hard to get on the floor then.
Yeah.
I mean, people do it, but
people do it. They're more willing to fight, and
that's
we're not.
We're not. We're like, it looks full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this time the sound I thought was really good. That's one thing I do like about the House of Blues. The sound is really great. It's just the floor itself is not it's not a very big floor. And like you said, if it fills up, you can get in really bad spots where you can't see the stage or it sounds like fucking shit. Yeah.
The first time we saw Brand of Sacrifice, we were behind a pole and you couldn't see anything.
Yeah. No, I couldn't see shit.
And I was kind of disappointed for that because I really wanted to see them. So.
But maybe that's enough about House of Blues itself. We've ranted about that, several times before, and we did now here a little bit as well. But let's get into the first.
We haven't done it for a while.
We haven't done it for a while. Yeah. This though, let's get into the first band, Alluvial, and why don't you read off their set list?
They started with Exponents, Thy Underling, Sarcoma, The Putrid Sunrise, Area Code, Fog Belt, and they ended with Bog Dweller. Now, I have listened to them because they've came up on playlists and stuff on Spotify, but I don't know their songs. Like, if that makes sense.
Okay,
It's one of those bands that they've come up on like different playlists and stuff, but
it's on shuffle and whatnot.
Yeah. Or like I like to listen to your daily mix or your your like core breakdowns or like the stuff like that.
And this is definitely a core band.
Yeah. Like the stuff that Spotify puts together for you.
Yeah.
So I know that they've came up on it, but like I've never really dug into them or like looked, like paid attention to what song was playing or anything like that.
It's a core band. I'm not a big core fan, like metalcore, deathcore, whatever. I'm more apt for deathcore than anything else of the cores. Yeah. But metalcore itself is sort of like meh. And to me, it's all very generic and it all sounds very similar to me.
I understand. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. So when they came out and they started playing, I thought that. I was like, this sounds like all the other core shit that's out there right now. Whatever. It's not that great. It's fine. They put on a good show.
Yeah,
they did have a lot of energy, a lot of good stage presence. I do remember that.
It went really quick. I remember that.
It did go very quick.
Yeah. It has been like a week and a half since we saw this show.
Yeah.
But not quite. A half a week since we saw the show. It was last Friday.
Oh, it was. Yeah. Just a few days ago.
Yeah. I thought we had a whole nother weekend in there. We've had a lot going on. But yeah, like I mean, I remember when they walked out, I didn't ever look up the band, so I didn't know what they looked like. But to have a scrawny drummer with a older guitarist looking guy, and then a black bassist, and then the vocalist coming out, and if you put like a suit and tie on him, he would look like he worked at like a bank.
Yeah, I don't remember those.
You don't remember that?
No.
I remember that so much. And I was just like, these four guys, they sound great together. But like, if you just showed me a picture,
you wouldn't put them all four
together.
I would
not. No, if you said like, who's in this band? Like, I would not pick those four to be in the same band. Not saying like everybody has to look the same or look in a certain way or anything like that. But
no, they're just like four unique individuals that like, it could fit in four different areas or four different subcultures or whatnot.
Yeah, I'm just like, I wouldn't picture them together for the sound that they played, basically.
Yeah. But like I was saying, to me, it was just very generic. They had a lot of crowd banter and whatnot. I remember.
Oh, I don't remember the crowd banter. So
I'm pretty sure they did because they did ask like, who's seen us before?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And honestly, I thought they were Brand of Sacrifice.
Oh, seriously? Did you raise your hand?
I didn't do anything because like I don't know. But I thought they were Brand of Sacrifice until they like said their name at the end. It was like, oh, Alluvial, because they did have their logo up there as well behind them,
which is like a praying mantis. Like all the letters kind of come together, like a bug.
And I was trying to figure out like that doesn't look like Brand of Sacrifice. Like I'm not finding the B. It looks like an A. So I was very confused on their logo.
That's funny. That reminds me of the first time we saw Mastodon, and I thought that they were Opeth, and you're like, oh no, like Opeth is next, and. If you thought Mastodon was too late, then Opeth is
I remember
much
that.
lighter.
But I didn't know that. I did listen to this set again today because I couldn't remember their music that well other than it was core music and I didn't really enjoy it. Listening to it on Spotify while working, I actually enjoyed it a little better. So I mean, I don't know. It wasn't the worst. It was still, again, very... I don't want to say generic. I think that's the wrong word, but it's very...
I understand,
similar to other core metalcore bands out there.
Yeah. And I get that with some of the core bands that they do have like the same type of sound or whatever. I like it. I don't know.
No, but like I was saying, I didn't dislike it. I enjoyed this more than other things, maybe like Bad Omens. That's, I think, a good example where I really don't like Bad Omens that much.
Yeah.
This I enjoyed more than Bad Omens.
Got it. The first thing I want to say, just because the night kind of progresses, but at this point of the night, the crowd, there is a small pit off to stage right. And when I say small, it's hard at House of Blues because like the floor is really small, but there was a pit off to stage right. everybody on our side, stage left, just kind of stood there, which I kind of was surprised because I feel like every time we're on stage right, the pit's always on stage left.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, oh no, we can just stand here. It's fine. Because I figured we'd be on like the edge of the pit, but it was on the opposite side this time.
Yep.
So
I do remember that a little bit of the pit going on. I do remember the singer as well being like, I want to see you crowd surfing. Nobody crowd surfed. No, I don't think a single person.
I don't think a single person did. No.
And he kept asking for people to crowd surf, and like nobody fucking did shit. And it was like, all right, whatever, that's cool. But then they got the pit going a little bit. Yeah. Again, I thought the set was good. I thought their energy was good. I didn't enjoy the music, but going back and listening to it, I did enjoy it. I definitely check them out again.
I definitely.
So
would.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was fun. It wasn't what I was wanting, and I wasn't like, honestly, going into this night, I was sort of in a mood. I don't know why, but I was just sort of in like an off mood of like, I don't really want to do this right now.
You don't want to see all the core bands?
Yeah, I don't know. There was something about it. And I think maybe it was Whitechapel themselves because I had just listened to the new album.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't really like their new album.
Yeah, you did say that. Like, we had a little conversation about that a little bit before, like a couple days before the show.
There's a few tracks they have on their new album that I really like. But for the most part, the new album, I'm not a fan of.
Yeah. You are a fan of, like, Kin and The Valley.
Yep. Which
has a lot of melodic songs on it and stuff like that. So you really enjoyed that of Whitechapel.
Yeah. like I Will Find You and what's the other
Lost
one?
Boy?
No.
I can't remember which one you like.
Oh, Hickory Creek. I Will Find You in Hickory Creek are the two.
Creek. Yeah.
That I really, really like from Whitechapel.
Yeah.
Because those are those more melodic bits at the beginning or whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So, or in the middle of it and whatnot. Yeah. That might have been part of the reason of me just being in sort of a funky mood. Maybe it was work related. I don't know. But yeah, I was definitely in a funky mood going in, and then, having Alluvial come in, it didn't get me out of that funk.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, but I would definitely see them again. It'd be fun to see them as not the first opener, because I think they only got like 25 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
So it'd be fun to see them, a little bit later in the set or at a headlining show.
For sure.
Yeah.
But the next band, 200,000 stab wounds.
250,000. Let's add a 50 in there.
200 stab wounds.
I've had such a problem with 200 stab wounds where, like, ever since we first saw them, I'm like, Brian, you need to see this band, like 2,000 stab wounds, like 200,000 stab wounds. Like, I can never remember their name.
But in any case, fumble the transition a little bit there. 200 stab wounds definitely got me out of my funk a little bit.
That's good.
Here.
That's good. I figured it would. Like, when I heard them last year in Ireland, I was like, Brian's gonna like them.
I fucking loved these guys.
Yeah, I figured.
Why don't you read off their set list for us?
Sure. They started with Hands of Eternity, Masters of Mobility, Fatal Reality, Defile Gestation, Drilling Your Head, Gross Abuse, Phallic Filth, She Was Already Dead, Skin Milk. Then they ended with Tow Rope Around the Throat.
Again, like I said, I love these guys. The sound they came out and their sound was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah. I knew. Did you like the guitar? The thrashier guitar sound?
Yes. Yeah.
I figured you would. Yeah.
Definitely that death metal sound to it with the thrashy elements, as we've talked about in the past with like Amon Amarth. I can definitely pick up the thrashy elements to their stuff as well.
Yeah.
A lot of fucking thrash elements here. I fucking loved it. I thought their energy on stage was great. Their sound was fucking phenomenal. I loved it. It was so fucking good, and I was hooked like right away.
When I saw them for the first time, the band before them was Vomit Forth, which I know we've talked about in other podcasts, but like they came out and basically berated the Limerick crowd and was like, I came from America to play for you guys and you guys suck. And then 200 Stab Wounds came out and like the crowd actually opened up and was like moving and everything like that. And it's like, guess they don't suck that much, but the sound was just totally different. So
yeah.
But no, as soon as I heard them in Ireland, I think I probably even texted you. I mean, you were probably working because of the time difference, but I texted you. I'm like, you need to check these guys out. They're so great.
And I hadn't, and I'm kind of glad I hadn't, because I did go on the very next day to Spotify and listen to like their top tracks as I was walking to the train to meet you wherever you were at. And I listened to their stuff, and it was fine, but it wasn't catching me the same way.
Oh, really?
On
as
Spotify.
the live?
As the live.
Yeah. And we've talked about that so much, where we like the live to be the first, first go at like seeing a band, but then also then you miss the whole
if there's crowd interaction or crowd cheering or not cheering, but singing and whatnot.
Yeah, like the call and repeat type stuff or anything like that. Like you miss it because you don't know what's coming. So
I will say though, again, I did listen to their set list today on our playlist. Today after Alluvial, just rolled right into this set. And I enjoyed those selection of songs better than those like top ones. And there were a couple, on both lists, but I did enjoy that better than just starting it right there.
And I don't remember from their performance, like I don't remember them talking at all.
There was a little bit, but not a whole lot.
Yeah,
it was a lot more just the songs
going into it.
One leading right into the next and so on.
Yeah. And it was funny because when I was in Limerick, their setup was opposite. So like the guitar was on stage right and then the bassist was on stage left. But I remember the guitarist so much and like
what one? The singing guitars?
The round guy.
The bigger guy with the bald guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just remember him, remember his look and everything. And I even feel like when I went to merch, so I got a Signs of the Swarm shirt. That was the only shirt that I bought there. But when I went to merch, I feel like he was like at the Signs of the Swarm merch. Not working it, just like standing there. Yeah. But I didn't know who he was then because I hadn't seen them and I bought the shirt before the show started.
But in any case, he looked very familiar to me and I was trying to figure out like how we've seen him before. And I don't know. We'll have to do some deeper diving into that and whatnot, but I swear to God we've seen him before. Yeah,
that would be interesting to see if he would play with another band.
Yeah.
He's not really coming up on Google or anything, so
I know. But in any case, 200 Stab Wounds, fucking phenomenal set. I can't wait to see these guys again. I love their music.
They play in the area so much. I wonder if they're from around
the Midwest,
here, like Wisconsin or something. Because I talked to a guy at Milwaukee Metal Fest last year, and he said that they're always at the rave, or like in Milwaukee or at the rave.
Really?
Yeah.
Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, so I mean, kind of in the area.
Yeah, that's Midwest-ish.
Yeah. I mean, some people consider that the Midwest.
Is it? I have no idea.
I don't know where the line is.
No, I don't either.
I've heard people say the Midwest, and then they've said Ohio. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
I don't know where the lines draw.
Yeah, and like I said, like listening to like the top songs on Spotify wasn't really doing it for me. I kind of want to now just go and listen to an album straight, start to finish, and see where that leads me.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That might be a better, arrangement of tracks in the order they want you to hear them in, which is the exact same thing a set list is, right?
Yeah.
That like these are the songs that we want to play in this order. They're designed this way for a reason. They fit together well. And like I said, listening to the set list on our playlist, it felt really good. But again, the top songs on Spotify I didn't enjoy as much as their live set.
Yeah. According to this Google search, they formed in 2019, so they're a very new band.
Yeah, 6 years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy. I feel like they play very, very well for being a young band.
Yeah, no, they probably have experience in other bands and whatnot.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, I can't say how much I love this band. It was so fucking good.
I knew you would. And I was so glad because I knew you would.
It got me out of that funk. And I was honestly a little nervous because you're like, oh, they had this like old school death metal, like a traditional death metal sound to them. And I was like, do they though? Do they? They do. They do.
Yeah.
And it was a good change for me personally.
Yeah, it's definitely the death metal that you like to listen to. Yes, and that's why I was like, I know he's going to like this because of that aspect.
Absolutely.
So now if you could have stayed in Ireland with me for a little bit longer, you could have seen them, but it's all good.
A band I'm definitely going to be on the list to check out again, for sure.
I mean, like I said, like the guy from Milwaukee Metal Fest said that they tour all the time, so I'm sure we'll see them again. Probably at smaller clubs.
Maybe.
But
I don't know if they're at Decibel this year for their Beer and Metal Fest in Philly or not. I don't know if they're
I don't remember
doing that one or not.
List. Mother Grace is there. That's what I remember.
Mother of Grace is there, yes. But Milwaukee Metal Fest someday maybe as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
Be really cool to see them.
Are they on the list this year for Milwaukee Metal Fest?
Maybe. I don't know. I can't remember. There's so many fucking bands there.
I know, and I haven't studied that list very well. I feel like the last couple of years I was like, okay, what days what what's going on? And this year I'm just like, we're going. It'll be fun.
When it gets closer for sure. Yeah. But right now it's just so far out and it's like, all right. Any case, moving along. Now we actually get Brand of Sacrifice, not the opening band like I thought.
The band that you thought was opening.
So why don't you tell us what their set list was?
Yeah. So they started with Dawn, Demon King, Lifeblood, Altered Eyes, Exodus, Purge, Blinded. Then they had an unreleased song. So I don't know what that song is. Charlotte, Millennium, and they ended with Eclipse. Do you remember Brand of Sacrifice with Bad Omens?
I do.
No, not Bad Omens. We Came as Romans.
Was it We Came as Romans? Yeah, it was. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, we get so confused.
Yeah. I do a little bit, and mainly the lead singer having that like vest on.
Oh,
that he had.
Yeah.
I remember that as well,
like
and then like the dreadlocks as well.
Yeah.
So when they came out, I did remember it. And their first song, I wasn't the biggest fan of. It's
really?
Very chory again, like very short.
This night or
this night? Dawn.
This night, okay. They definitely go into the core aspect. Yeah.
As the night progressed with them, I enjoyed their set more and more. And I think right around this time as well, the crowd started getting a little rowdy.
A little bit, yeah.
Rowdy in like a good way, right?
Yeah.
Like,
a
lot of movement.
Yeah.
A lot more people crowd surfing.
Yeah, during their set, the pit actually opened up pretty wide. So then it was like we weren't on the edge, but we were getting knocked around a little bit.
A little bit, not a whole lot. Yeah.
Not much, but a little bit more during Brand of Sacrifice.
For sure,
where there was more movement. It's not like we were getting knocked around like coming up.
Yeah.
It's more like, just you could feel the movement of the crowd and people shuffling around and stuff.
Yeah, and like, we're 2 or 3 people, maybe 4 or 5 people back from the line of the pit or the wall of the pit. So like those people were running into people, like what happens when you're next to a pit. So like you would get that movement a little bit, but yeah, not too bad there.
Yeah.
Just a couple people, like I said, crowd surfing now, getting into it. I can't remember the crowd energy for
200
stab wounds.
200 stab wounds.
But I do remember a lot of people around us talking about it afterwards, like, oh my God, those guys were awesome.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't remember that, but I do remember it being a little more rowdy, and again, in a good way.
Yeah. When you say rowdy, you're not meaning it in a bad way.
No, like a good energy.
Yeah.
But like I said, as the night went on, I did enjoy their set more and more. I know this is a band you really, really enjoy.
I do like them. Yeah. Like I had listened to them before we saw them with We Came as Romans in 2022, 2023, whatever year that was. But I've listened to them a lot more since then. So I'm more familiar with their songs and everything, and I was excited to see them again. I kind of forgot what they sounded like on stage versus Spotify. Which
is it vastly different from your like standpoint?
No, like Spotify's more clear.
Gotcha.
Like the growls and stuff like that, like are.
It's more, it's more polished because it's production. It's not live, right? Okay, that makes sense.
But seeing Kyle perform, I think, is what really I really enjoy from their live show.
Who's Kyle again?
He's the vocalist.
Okay, okay.
So I mean, he just has like such the presence and like.
Yeah, he's a good front man, a good front person for sure. Very good.
Yeah, very, very good. And even like when we saw them for the first time with We Came as Romans, like being the opening band, like he still had that like great presence like on the stage and everything. And so seeing them now this time as the second headliner, how do you say that? Like
second from the top of the bill, or like
that's third band.
Second on the bill, third on the bill.
Yeah,
I think you count from the top down.
Yeah, so second
like
on the bill.
Second on the bill. Yeah.
But yeah, so seeing them play a little bit longer set and everything was excellent. I do like their cover, or I guess it's not a cover because like they like not duet. What's that called? Like collab.
Oh, the collab
with We Came as Romans for Dark Bloom, and I was kind of hoping to hear that this night, but then also I was kind of like, we probably won't hear it because they have enough of the catalog to. Cover their own songs. Yeah,
and typically I think like the band that is first on the collab is typically the main band, and you're going to hear that probably at their show and not the collab show. But I don't want to say that like it's a hard fast rule because clearly it's not.
Yeah. So. And like with We Came as Romans, played the song, and then Brand of Sacrifice came out and they played it again.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, they did. I kind of remember that.
Yeah. I just like Brand of Sacrifice's version better than We Came as Romans. It's a little bit heavier and a little bit more like deep growls and everything. So, I really enjoy that song. But I mean, I also enjoy like Lifeblood, Exodus, Eclipse, like a lot of their.
Leading up to this show, you had a pretty bad cough for the whole week, and it was started to clear up. It was basically cleared up by the time we went to the show.
Yeah. And it wasn't like sick related. It was just bad air and then asthma related.
Yeah, allergies and all that. You go through it every spring, basically.
Yep.
And every fall.
Which the last time I saw 200 stab wounds, I had that in Ireland and I couldn't talk during the show.
Yeah.
I had lost my
voice.
voice.
That's the thing I was going to say. It's because around leading up to the show or going into the show, you said, you know, I'm feeling a lot better today, but I still don't think I'm going to be able to sing a whole lot like you want to.
Yeah. Or like move around and stuff like that. Like I didn't have, like every time I moved, like I would start coughing. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to like just take it easy.
Yeah. But the crowd was pretty packed on that little tiny floor at the House of Blues. So when, you know, we're in a pretty tight spot, you're usually in front of me and I'm behind you. And I think it's around Exodus, you threw up the horns and you're sitting there singing.
Is that when I hit you?
And you fucking stabbed me in the eye with your fingernail. Like,
I'm sorry.
It hurt so bad. Oh my God.
I said sorry and then turned around and just kept going.
Oh yeah, and you kept doing it too. And I was like, what the fuck? I like ended up moving my head to the side a little bit, like to avoid your finger, like hit me in the fucking face again. And the only thing I thought about was, you hate women with long hair at shows because you hate touching the hair when they start flowing in their hair. And even men, like when anybody with hair, when they start twirling their hair.
No, I don't mind the twirling part. It's when you're just standing there and your hair touches me. And
Really?
it's just like resting and like touching.
You don't like that feeling?
Yeah, no, I hate it. And it's not even at shows, it's anywhere. Like I was at Disney World and I had to like move because the lady's hair was touching me. Like, ugh.
So your own weird fucking
it's just it's my own problem.
But I was like, I'd rather take somebody's hair touching me, or I thought it was really when they did like the headbang and whatnot, than you fucking poking me in the goddamn eye.
Mean to.
Oh, that hurt so bad.
I didn't know I poked you in the eye. I thought I just like.
Oh no, because you turned around for not even 2 seconds, said sorry, and turned right back around to the band. Because you didn't give two shits about me at that point. You were in your zone and whatnot.
Sorry.
I just wanted to bring that up because fuck, that hurt. No, I did not like that.
Spousal abuse.
Yeah, basically. All in all, though, like I said, as the set progressed, I did really like their music. And again, I listened to this playlist again. I enjoyed it. I really enjoy their music. It's not, I don't want to say I really enjoy it, but I enjoy it more than other core bands.
Yeah.
Like Bad Omens, like
Era.
I can't remember. There's a bunch of them that you used to listen to.
Yeah.
And still listen to. We saw a lot of core bands last year, I wasn't the biggest fan of all of it.
Especially by the end of the year, you're like, another one.
But this was good. I thought this was a good set. What's the word? Yeah, a good lineup of bands, as well as having it split like that, where you have a metalcore with a death metal, and then back to like a metalcore band, and now we're going to deathcore. So it was a good break, and not just metalcore. There was some variety there to break it all up.
And that probably helps you.
It definitely did.
Especially with 4 bands. Like if it was all just like metalcore sound all night, you would not have hung on so well.
And if you take out 200 Stab Wounds and it was Alluvial, Brandon Sacrifice, I think by the time Brandon Sacrifice got done, I think I would have been very pissed.
You would have been like, I'm just going to go stand in the back.
And I was already in a mood. And leading up to that, I was pretty much anticipating standing in the back for Whitechapel.
You told me with... like after Brandon Sacrifice, you're like, hey, I'm gonna probably give it like 2 songs, 3 songs, and then I'm just gonna go stand in the back.
And so the reason for that is I fucking hate bands with the backlights.
Oh yeah.
That shine directly into the crowd. And their last show we saw of Whitechapel was at
the Radius. Yeah, that was horrible.
And they had those same lights, and you could see them set up, and I was like, fuck, these are gonna be those shitty lights. They're gonna blind me. I'm not gonna be able to see anything. Might get a migraine. I'm fucking done. I'm going to watch 2 or 3 songs from down here, and then I'll just go back to the bar and stand by the bar. Honestly, I was like, I'll just get a beer and just hang out back there. But didn't quite happen that way. Do we want to dive into Whitechapel?
Let's start Whitechapel.
Okay, yeah.
And I did see the lights too, because like they were all along the back, and then even off to the side. So there was 2 L's like off to the side, like by the speaker, under the speakers, and I was like, fuck, those are like right in front of us. Like you're gonna hate it.
Yep.
But it wasn't that bad.
No, not so bad. Let's start with the set list though, and dive then into the show. Sure. Then.
So I started with Prisoner 666, Hymns of Dissonance, Brimstone, A Blood-Soaked Symphony, Forgiveness is Weakness, Eye Dementia, A Visceral Wretch, Hate Cult Ritual, Prosthetic Fluid Asphyxiation, Possession, This is Exile, Let Me Burn, Our Endless War, and then they ended their main set with The Saw is the Law, and then they had an encore of Doomwoods, and the encore was a true encore where they like leave but no lights come up, and then they came back.
Oh, all right. So an encore.
Yeah, but like some bands do like an encore where they just like go off to the side for 2 seconds.
Oh, it did take a little bit longer for the encore.
Yeah.
So yeah, as we said, the floor was pretty packed for Brand of Sacrifice.
And nobody really left, if I remember right.
No, there were a few people that left to get beers, but
well, yeah, but like it wasn't like sometimes after the band like it kind of clears out and then like comes back. This time I don't feel like it did that very much.
Not between Brand of Sacrifice and Whitechapel.
Yeah.
Basically, people stayed where they stayed. We did scoot up a little bit and whatnot. We got pretty close to the rail, like maybe 3 or 4
back. Yeah,
not that far really.
Yeah.
But yeah, it started to fill up and get packed, and even more people, and you had people walk in and try to get in front of you, but it's like you couldn't because there was no more room. Like it was very packed.
Yeah.
Which is cool. We haven't been in a crowd like that in a very long time, I feel like.
Not like, I mean, there have been crowds like that. We just haven't positioned ourselves in the crowd.
Yeah,
and most of that is because we go to dinner, have some water or soda or something, and then between bands, I have to go use the restroom. And this night, I purposely did not get a drink at dinner. I purposely stopped drinking at like 3 o'clock so that I wouldn't have to leave between bands.
Yeah, or if I'm not really into it, I'll go get a beer, which again, what's part of my bingo card this year is to cut down my beer consumption at shows.
Well, this night helped.
Because it's expensive. 2, the venue's typically a LiveNation venue, so fuck that.
Yeah.
And it's expensive, as I said. And yeah, it makes you have to pee, so I have to leave, and I don't want to fight, as I said, to get back where I was. So I'll just hang out in the back and whatnot. But yeah, this night, no beers for me as well. I did get a soda at dinner and whatnot, but but whatever.
And by dinner we mean Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, there's a Chick-fil-A like a few blocks from the House of Blues.
It's
here
not
in
like
Chicago.
we went to dinner.
No, there's a few other restaurants around the area. A lot of cool stuff in the Loop and around the House of Blues that you can go check out.
Yeah, there are actual restaurants at like under the House of Blues and stuff like that too that you can go to.
Yeah. So, but in any case, it was packed, and we kind of knew that. There were 2 women that came up around you, and I think they were trying to find the people they were around earlier in the night. They were saying,
because like in between 200 Stab Wounds and Brand of Sacrifice, they played like some, I'm gonna say 90s. It's probably like early 2000 like pop music, and then some 90s because Backstreet Boys was played.
They did that. They did Country Road.
Yeah.
A few other like sing along where a lot of people were singing.
A lot of people were singing and stuff. Yeah. So these 2 ladies and then another 2 ladies or 3 ladies were like dancing and singing, and they were all like having a good time. And then that group kind of went, and I don't know what they did obviously, but they like left and then coming back and they were like, oh, I think this is about where we were. Like, where is this person? Where's this person? And I was like, I think this is the person you guys are looking for. And I was just being nosy, not nosy, but I was trying to be helpful, but also overhearing them. I don't know if that's helpful or being nosy, but.
And the couple guys came up along with them and that knew them or something. They were chatting and whatnot, and they started chatting with other people around them. And again, also just sort of overhearing people chat. Yeah. I heard the 2 guys talk to the other 2 guys they were talking to, like, all right, when this starts, you got to protect these women. You got to take care of them. You got to protect them. And I was like, all right, whatever. The pit opens, just move to the side or something, like whatever. And yeah, then the show started with Whitechapel, and as soon as it started, the pit fucking opened.
Yeah,
and
the whole floor opened.
Yeah, and when I say the pit opened, the entire fucking floor feels like it moved. Everybody was moving. I think as soon as it started, I went from where we were standing on stage left, basically to the pit in the center.
Yeah, you were in the center. Yeah, I was like, kind of and those 2 women, I like they did like go on the other side of me, so like I kind of like turned so they could go, and then. Like kind of was like, you guys good? Like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to like pay attention to the crowd and everything. But yeah, then I started looking around for you and I was like, holy shit, you're like 6 rows that way. Like, how did that happen?
I had no idea where you were either. So I'm sitting there like turning around trying to find you. And it's like, what the fuck? How did I get over here? How the fuck did you get over there? I don't
know how it happened either. It happened so quickly.
I eventually found you and worked my way back over that direction as well. And Andy's here to help.
Thanks, Andy. Cat interruption.
Yep. But yeah, no, then I worked my way back over to you and sort of hung out that way. But the entire fucking floor all around us seemed like it was moving.
Yeah.
There was a pit in the center. There was a pit basically where we were at. It was an insane fucking crowd. It reminded me more of the Aussie show than it did the Wage War show.
Yeah, so I was going to kind of compare it to the two as well. Like one with the Aussie show, like you just had no control on what you were doing. Wage War was more like just the pit opening up and like the crowd just moving like that way. Like, but it was in a pit type scenario where Aussie was more like, you just fucking can't control yourself.
Yeah, for Wage War, you couldn't a little bit control yourself, but a lot of it was if you wanted to, you probably could have. It was just sort of, you went with the movement of the crowd and whatnot, and it was fun. But the Aussie one was definitely more of that. You go where the motion of the crowd goes.
And that's how this night I felt like was for the first, I mean, probably up until, I don't know, like, I was going to see, like, probably up until, like, Visual Wretch, maybe?
There were some breaks where they left the stage, but for the most part, they just played, and the crowd kept going. And I was fucking drenched and out of breath. Yeah. And I was like, holy fuck, I need this to not stop, but I need to have a quick breather. So there were a few moments in their set where they stopped playing and sort of the lights dimmed and they went backstage and did some shit and whatnot. And that did help because that calmed people down a little bit. But then as soon as they started playing, it was back at it again.
Yeah.
But I do remember as well, like there's one moment where I got pushed forward or into that like center pit area and I start to fall forward and the guy in front of me who I'm like leaning on starts to fall forward as well. So I just like grab his shirt and hold him up and like sort of catch my balance so he doesn't fall back in like backwards.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that where it's like you fucking run into people and like, it was so much fun.
It was a lot of fun. And I think this is where, I mean, me going into it being like, I'm just going to stand there and enjoy the show and not sing, not move, not do anything. That obviously all went out the door because it was pretty much, you're just going with the crowd and like, kind of like what you were saying, like, you know, helping people if they fall, you know, there was a couple people that I could tell didn't want to be in that center area. So then it's like moving so that they can get back and that sort of thing. But then, I mean, even if you got back, it was kind of like another pit was opening up in front of us. So it was just kind of like all over the place.
Yeah. And I also did not watch like any of the show. Yeah. I saw maybe like 5 minutes at most of this actual show.
I was going to say the same thing. Cause like, I mean, I like watching Phil perform. I think he's a great frontman as well. Kind of like we were talking about with Kyle. And I don't remember anything.
The one thing I kind of remember with Phil is they had these sort of mannequins with skulls, sort of like tribal looking.
Yeah, like the deer heads.
And he would walk over to one of the deer while he's singing, and it was like a part where like the crowd would sing, or like he would say something in the next verse or the next line he would expect somebody to say or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And instead of singing that song, he put the mic up to the deer head. Yeah. And the deer head said nothing because it's a fucking mannequin, not real. And then he just like shrugs his head like, what the fuck, dude? Where were you on that? Yeah. So he did that a couple times.
I do remember him saying that, yeah.
I saw a couple of the other members play for, 30 seconds at a time, and then back to watching the crowd. So many crowd surfers as well going over.
Yeah. And they were smart this time because sometimes they start like in row 5, like 5 back or something like that, or like at the edge of the pit or whatever. Up. So you're like up there for 30 seconds. But no, these people are starting like back by the stairs and going forward because like, I mean, House of Blues is just teeny. So like if you're not starting way at the back, you're up and down.
There was one woman who went up a lot. I saw her go up like constantly. And toward the end of the Whitechapel set, I did see her come up over to wherever we ended up. And there was a guy I was next to basically all night. And she like came up to him and started talking to him. So clearly they knew each other. Yeah. And he's the same guy who commented on my ginger shirt as we were walking back.
Yeah. And somehow he mentioned Disturbed, and I'm like, I don't remember seeing you at Disturbed, but okay.
Yeah, but she came up and told him like, I'm done. I can't do that anymore. And like, what's going on? Why can't you do that? And apparently the staff told her like, if you come up again, you're done, you're out type thing.
And I remember that happening at another show. I don't remember what band we were at, but I remember it was a guy.
I do remember that too.
And he was like, the security was like, no you're more. Done. And he even was like, please. And they were like, no more.
I think that was at maybe Hatebreed at Concord.
No, it was at House of Blues.
Was it House of Blues?
Yeah, I remember it was House of Blues. Yeah.
I thought it was Concord, but wherever it was, I do remember that event happening. Yeah.
Yeah. So they must have like, just kind of watching people and I mean, I don't see it as a bad thing if they want to keep going, as long as they're being safe about it.
For sure.
I don't know.
For sure. Getting back to those 2 girls we're talking about earlier and those guys being like, you need to protect these girls. And when the show started, it basically felt like the entire floor was a pit. there was a part toward the end of the set where the main pit was now just in the center. You definitely had movement coming in from that, but it wasn't as bad. Like, it wasn't as much movement. Not bad.
Yeah, you're saying bad, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Not as much movement there, so you could sort of stand still. And,
that's what I was thinking. It was like around like either a Visual Wretch. There was like a little break because like obviously once you got to like This Is Exile and This All Is Law, I remember the crowd moving a lot during that as well. So
yeah, but I mean, so I guess what I'm trying to get to, there were definitely the lull moments where they didn't play and whatnot. But what I'm trying to get to is those 4 individuals that we had talked about earlier left our little area we were at. I didn't see them around.
Oh, they were behind us.
Okay, so
yeah, because at one point it was at some point because I was singing. I don't remember.
So I guess what I'm wanting to get to here is
go ahead.
That the guy who's like, you need to protect these women, was pushing a lot of people around that area.
Yeah, and not like, I don't want to be mean about it, but not like a, like just like friendly, like moshing push. It was like fucking shoving people.
So there was one point early on where he's like twerking on my leg or something.
What the fuck?
I was like, what the fuck's going on? Do you want me to back away from these girls so they have more room or something? Fuck that. Or are you trying to start a pit or something? So I'd nudge, like hip check him in. Like he'd twerk on me. I'd hit check. Twerk, hit check. And I think he got pissed off because I think he was trying to like stay away from these girls and whatnot. Blah, blah, blah. Give them room, like we didn't make blah. I don't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
But it seemed like it pissed him off because then he like just stood up and put his hands on me and ran me into the center a little bit. And I was
really?
Like,
I didn't see that.
The fuck?
Yeah. He was doing that to people all night though.
But so part of me is like, is that what he was trying to do? Is like give them room so they could enjoy the show? Was he trying to start a separate pit? I don't think he was. But his friend he was there with, the other male, was like, he actually seemed like he was trying to start a pit and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, they were pushing each other too, and like, I don't know.
So I couldn't tell what the fuck was going on there, but that was a little frustrating. It's like, if you want to be in the pit, go into the big pit, or I don't fucking know what the fuck's going on here. In any case, it died down around us, down that, that little pit sort of died down. I did see, though, another pit behind us open up back by the stairs.
Yeah, there was multiple times where a pit by the stairs would open or a pit in front of us would open, like all night. Like it was just over, like over and over.
I just want to say, like that one up in front of us, up to our right, that one seemed to die down toward the end of the night to me, and then it moved to the far back one. Because I don't remember that pit. Because again, I think they had left that area. And that's where I was like, all right, so they left, therefore the pit.
No, even I mean, I would just disagree just from my vantage point because there was a shorter guy who asked to be in front of you. He was like, "Hey man, can I stay in front of you?" Yeah. And then I kind of laughed because he got not shoved into that pit, but he like was no longer. I mean, all night like we were just jostling all over. But I kind of laughed because I was like, "Oh, you wanted to be in front of him, but now you're in the center of that pit." Like, and I felt like that was later in the night, but
yeah, and I saw him also, like the same guy who was like twerking on me. I saw them sort of getting a little.
Oh, there was one point where there was a bald guy that he like they were gonna go, and I'm like, hey,
yeah,
like just you go back to the pit and you stay, you stay over here, like.
So, and we've seen that two other places where at Concord's a good example where there was the main pit and there was a guy over here trying to start his own pit. And like this other gentleman was like, fuck that, get the fuck away from me. If you want to be in the pit, go fucking over there and be in the pit type thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that happens. I didn't care that he was, very like bouncing around and having a good time starting a pit over by us. I didn't care.
No.
I actually had a lot of fun at this show. This is one of the best shows I think I've seen in a long time because of that crowd interaction and that way the crowd just felt that night. It was so much good energy all night long.
I think I really needed it from just work shit, like just the not getting your frustration out, but just like having the music I like plus the crowd that I like, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah,
like I said, we haven't been to a show like this or in a crowd like this for a long time. We've been to shows like this. We haven't personally been in the crowd like this.
Yeah,
and I miss it. I really do like being in the crowd, but again, for me personally, that just means I don't drink alcohol then at the show.
Yeah.
Which, whatever, that's not that bad of a deal, really.
I think because last time we saw Whitechapel was with Kubicon and Lorna Shore.
And Senjukukazabags.
Senjukukazabags.
Yep.
Yes. But I think we were closer to the stage during Senjukukazabags. But during Kubicon, we went back to get merch. But I think the crowd was like this, like up closer to the stage, like kind of where we were standing for Senjukukazabags. Sorry, we can't say that name, so we just like say shit. but but I think that the crowd was like this that whole night.
Okay.
For Kubicon and for Whitechapel, and we just weren't in it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is like, if we want to be in a crowd like this, we just have to make the decision to
not drink water,
drink alcohol and whatnot, or leave the crowd, or
push our way back.
Which again, we don't like doing that, so we just need to get comfortable doing that or whatnot. But that's what I'm trying to say is like, we've been to plenty of shows where crowds are like this.
Yeah,
we're just not in that mix because we choose not to be.
Yeah.
I would like to choose to be more often than not, I guess.
Yeah, I go back and forth. It depends on how I'm feeling or how the week's been or whatever, like how many shows we've seen. Because sometimes, like I'm going back to like Decibel. The first year we went to Decibel in Denver, like by the second night, I was like, I cannot do that. We were at the edge of the pit the entire night on night one. And I was just like, I can't do that the entire night for night two.
It's also a different kind of pit there as well. It was Karate Kid pits, I think.
Somewhat. Towards the end of the night, it became Karate Kid, but before that, it wasn't that bad.
Karate Kid being hardcore pits.
Yeah.
In any case, I had a fucking blast. I had a lot more fun at this show than I expected to.
What did you think of Whitechapel's songs live from their new album? Or did you not notice?
I didn't know. I was not paying attention. Oh, okay. It was good music. I was enjoying it. The crowd was singing. That was awesome. You were singing. I wasn't paying close enough attention. I was just enjoying the moment. Yeah. And I didn't dislike them, but I can't tell you much about them.
Okay.
Right? You know what I mean?
I was hoping that you hearing them live would change your mindset on the album, but
probably not. But definitely, like, seeing them live is worth it because of that crowd energy.
Yeah.
Like, I would prefer to see them live over listening to them, unless I'm listening to that more melodic shit, like the Ken and the Valley.
Yeah.
And melodic shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. More melodic songs.
Yeah. Any case, again, for $27.50 apparently. I can't believe that. I still don't know what the fuck. I mean, the fee rate's 40%, but whatever. $40 for this show. Really, really not that bad. Really good price for this.
Yeah.
Even if it's the BOGO deal or whatever the fuck. I had a fucking blast. This was phenomenal. I can't wait to have another show like this. This was so much fun.
I know. I can't wait for a crowd like that again. So we have a couple that coming up that could be like that.
Could be. And the only way we're going to get there is if we go to live music and check it out. So go out, listen to some live music, check out shows around you, and maybe we'll see you at the next show.
Yep. Bye.